The station does not guarantee the results of any investments made by a listener to this program.
This is The Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney, protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now, here's Gary.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Today, we get smarter. So have you ever wondered, you hear Medicare and there's these things coming up, like in October, there's open enrollment and there's these different type of things. I mean, you hear about Medicare, you really are interested in it. If you're within 90 days of your 65th birthday, you become very interested in it. If you're within a year of your 65th birthday, you're going to be getting mail from all these different people telling you, hey, congratulations, happy birthday. We'll tell you about Medicare. Well, we have the expert in the house on this show. Jim Robeson is the Medicare answer guy. That is his website. So if you want to get a hold of him, just remember, easy peasy, it is themedicareanswerguy.com. So we got Jim today. Hey, Jim, how you doing, man?
Good. Busy.
Boy, I'll tell you, we have this all over the news. I think anybody that reads any news channel now has the Scripps Clinic and Scripps Coastal Crisis. It was in the Union Tribune, which means it was on on their web channels, on their cable channels. It's all over the place, this massive crisis. So that's one of the things that I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to go over today, is talk about the Scripps Clinic Coastal Crisis and tell us about that, where it is, and then give us some solutions.
Well, like you said, Gary, and we've been talking about this for the last couple of radio programs for Medicare, but real briefly, if you're 65 and you're on a Medicare Advantage HMO plan and your doctors are with Scripps Clinic or Scripps Coastal, you should have already gotten a letter from your insurance company, and there's 5 of them, and Scripps Clinic or saying that effective January 1st, 2024, Scripps Clinic or Scripps Coastal doctors will no longer be your doctors. And that's going to affect about 30,000 people. And they're just now waking up, getting these letters, emails, reading in the newspaper. And Gary, I think you said this is the perfect storm. Mm-hmm. And next segment, I'm going to share a story that proves the point. So, that's what we're facing. And my phone's ringing off the hook. And there are a lot of people that are very concerned because all of us, even months ago, weren't aware that this would happen.
Now, Jim, on this, because this is for people that are on Medicare, basically, if you're over 65, this is terrifying because you always hear about, it's that generation that's getting ripped off, and and they're kind of every time there needs to be some budget cut or adjustment or whatever, then it seems like that generation is the one that's going to take the hit for it. And whether that's actually real or not, it's definitely perceived, and we definitely see it a lot. And now you hear this. And it doesn't even matter if they're reading the whole headline. It's like, it's going to be Medicare Advantage not covered. They're not even going to read the Scripps part of it. So I'm wondering is there part of an announcement or something you can say today, here are the people it doesn't apply to. So if you're not this, then don't panic. Because I think that's what we're saying right now. If you are a Medicare Advantage plan, and that's different than any other plan, your Medicare Advantage plan, and you are Scripps Clinic or Scripps Coastal, those are the 40 or 30,000 people that are getting hammered, right?
Correct. So let's go back to the basics. When you turned 65, you had 2 choices for supplement plans. The first one was, and maybe you didn't talk to a broker, and if you did, he or she didn't let you know about this, but it's called a Medicare supplement plan. We like to see it or talk about it as a permanent Medicare health plan. It won't change. It's flexible. You can see any doctor you want to. The other plan is the Medicare Advantage HMO plan. We like to term it temporary. And the reason that it's temporary is that it's subsidized by the government. Every year, the insurance companies that have Medicare Advantage plans across the United States get subsidized. They get paid an enrollment fee. And anytime you hear that something's being subsidized by the government, you have to question it a little bit. Well, up until this year, it's worked fabulous. Zero premiums, zero deductibles, zero copays, lots of doctors to see. But now we've got $33 trillion in debt. Congress is scratching their head and saying we can't kick this down the road. The administration behind the scenes is wondering, are we going to keep financing this? And so medical groups like Scripps Clinic and Scripps Coastal finally have come to the point to say, we cannot operate our medical group on activated rates, and we're going broke. And so effective January 1st, 2024, we're no longer going to support in San Diego County a Medicare Advantage plan. And that's what we're faced with.
And
they've tried to negotiate with insurance companies, and it just
2 minutes.
And that makes sense because, you know, the bottom line, our healthcare system is a business, and they're not designed to be just making or losing tons of money. And all the promises that they've been made, like the rest of us, you know, now it comes to roost. It's like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. And now they probably can see the handwriting on the wall. I think one of the disadvantages is because even every time you describe it, you go, well, there's this thing called the Advantage plan. And then there's a supplemental plan. And I'm going like, well, I don't want the Advantage. The Advantage sounds great. Supplemental, I don't need a supplemental. I just want the basic Advantage. And then, but I mean, the names are like misnomers. The Advantage plan it's a government subsidized plan that's temporary. It could change and at the whim of Congress. And that's exactly what's happening. And now you've got some of the bigger organizations that are saying, we can't do it. We're not getting treated like we were told. So we're moving out. Unfair, fair, does it matter? It doesn't really matter. The fact is they're doing it, and there's 30,000 people affected. Now,
and they are Advantage plans because they offer a lot more stuff than a supplement plan that have. But it's come to the point where they just cannot operate, and it's happening across the United States. In Colorado, it happened a couple of years ago, and you're going to see a lot more in the years to come.
And what we're going to do about it, you guys,
we can talk about that.
Absolutely, because I think the thing just to remember, if you're driving and you're going, oh, crud, I can't listen to the rest of the show, it's themedicareanswerguide.com. Call and figure out if you're affected and how to resolve that. themedicareanswerguide.com. Listen to the Word on Wealth with our favorite Medicare person. That's Jim Robeson, the Medicare Answer Guy. And coming up next, we're going to talk about options. What can you do about this tragedy?
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We are here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST. You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is faith-based investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christian families don't understand this one thing. The money that you're saving for retirement helps fund the abortion industry as well as other liberal anti-family causes. It's the sad, dirty little secret of American investing world. And here's the good news, though. You probably also didn't know that just a few minutes of your time, and we'll screen and clean your investments for you. There's no cost, no obligation. Learn the truth about your own investment mix. Then the choice is yours. Remember, the word says when God's money is in the hands of the righteous, the people rejoice. Well, we also are fiduciary investment advisor representatives. That means that our firm makes a pledge to always act in your best interest. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com. Download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing, or call me at 931-RETIRED. And please don't forget, listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
So Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So what is that and why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. So have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecos and the Pecos Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of The Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecos has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecos Group. From single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings, Ken Pecos is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecos.com. That's Ken Pecos, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
Legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Right. You've got Jim Robeson right here on the air. He's here with us every Monday on The Word on Wealth. He's our expert Medicare guy. So anytime you have any questions regarding Medicare, Jim's the guy to call. You can call right now on the air. We're going to have him on for a little while longer, right to the bottom of the hour. But call now to ask your question, 888-344-1170, and be on with Jim Robeson. Jim is talking about this huge, big Medicare Scripps Coastal disaster that's going on, and how to kind of help people manage this crisis.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a live story before we finish at the bottom of the hour, but there's three options. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan with one of the 5 insurance companies, Scan, Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Anthem, and Alignment, and your doctors are Scripps Clinic or Scripps Coastal, you're going to lose your doctors. There are 3 options. You can stay with your insurance company and change doctor groups because there are other medical groups within each of those insurance companies. You can do that. Or you can move to a different insurance company that has a medical group that's not with your current insurance. So you can go from a Scripps to a Sharp, Reese Daily, Sharp Community, Or the third option is a permanent option. It's a Medicare supplement or a Medigap plan with a premium. You'd have to enroll in a standalone drug plan. And if you do that last option, then you're never going to get an annual notice of change. You're not going to get a letter from the medical group or the insurance company saying your copays are going up, down, you're going to lose your doctor. It's permanent. Now, if you don't have a broker, the first two options, or the first option, you can just call your insurance company. And I'm sure they'll be happy to move you to a different medical group. And by the way, if one of our listeners is listening to this and they don't do anything, they're automatically going to get switched to a doctor, whether they call or not. And that's going to be unfortunate because you do have a choice. So those are the three options. Call your insurance company, stay with your insurance carrier, and switch to a different medical group that's within the insurance carrier, or move to a different insurance company, or get a permanent solution where you can go to any doctor, any hospital, any clinic, anywhere in the United States without a referral, and you can rest at night.
So, Jim, why don't people, I mean, it seems to me, when I'm 65 years old and retired and want stability rather than, changing around and all the, it seems to me like more people would be getting the Medigap, the permanent insurance. Why don't people everybody do that?
Well, you would think so. However, most people don't want to talk to an insurance agent, and they hear ads on the radio. By the way, Gary, of these 30,000 people that this has affected, 40% don't have a broker. They're dealing with an insurance carrier.
Wow.
And they're going to be on hold for a half an hour. It's not going to be a pretty sight. But why doesn't somebody enroll in a Medicare Gap plan? Because the Advantage plans are so attractive. Zero premium, zero deductible, zero copays, lots of benefits, transportation, over the counter, on and on and on. I mean, there's just a long list of things that a Medigap plan doesn't have. And for the average person, 2/3 of people on Medicare, they make less than $50,000 a year. They can't, in some cases, afford a premium for a Medigap plan. And so it's just an easy transition off your individual plan that you're paying $1,000 a month for, or your employer plan. It's pretty much a slam dunk. And if you are dealing with a broker, I hate to say this, many of them don't even mention Medigaps.
Wow.
Which is unfortunate, because now you're faced with a situation where, and the story I want to tell, I got a phone call this morning from a friend that I've known for a number of years. She's not a client. She's 80, her husband's 85. He just had a stroke. He's in a facility. They're on a Medicare Advantage plan. Their doctors are Scripps clinics. And of course, she's handling everything, which is stressful. And now she gets a letter from Scripps saying you can't see the doctors anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And he's got specialists, she's got specialists. He's in a home. What is she going to do? So I'm going to visit with her on Saturday, and we're going to look at the different options. This is just one person. And it's going to happen over and over and over and over. And that's why it's a crisis. See, really, I mean, the premiums for a Medigap plan at age 80 and 85, it's more than zero. I can tell you that.
I can imagine.
So it's unfortunate. And when you look at 30,000 people, I would imagine a large percentage of them are in a similar situation. So we're here to help. We don't have the best of solutions in cases like this, but it's going to be easier to talk to a broker. Maybe it's not me. There are many other brokers that are out there willing to help you answer these questions, and they're probably going to be more accessible than on the phone with an insurance company for half an hour or an hour.
And then it gets confusing also. You guys just remember Jim, get a hold of him, themedicareanswerguy.com, or you can call him 858-935-9120. So it's not going to be easy, but this is something you need to do. I mean, we're all on the Word on Wealth about advanced planning, taking care of yourself, your finances, your situation. That's why we have Jim as our Medicare expert. But this is something you need to get on right away so that you don't end up, having, like this terrible situation that Jim's talking about. I mean, Jim, it makes sense, even, from a standpoint of we're thinking, oh, well, I'll just let it switch. I'll just let this happen, because I think if you're listening to this program, you're probably not in an assisted living facility or hooked up to a machine where it really, really will make a big difference when you get a letter saying, sorry for your current situation. We're going to, we're going to assign you to somebody else, and good luck. I think if we have to just look a little deeper into the situation, like we're doing with this example, that's what we're talking about, is those people are the ones that are really, really affected. And when you're, trying to struggle with this on your own and you don't have a broker and you're trying to make calls and it's difficult to figure out, are you being told the truth? Am I working with somebody that's really got my best interest at heart? I think that's where you need to get somebody like Jim here helping you out, the Medicare Answer Guy, 858-935-9120. Of course, it is a very busy time for Jim, but he's helping everybody that he can. I know that the people that I've sent to you, Jim, have been thrilled with the help, because it's like they go, wow, he really actually answered my question. It wasn't just like, okay, click here and swipe your credit card. And I appreciate that. I mean, that's why, you're one of my partners here on the show. I just really appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, if the phone is busy, you can go to my website, themedicareanswerguy.com, click contact. My calendar comes up and you can schedule a call. That's probably the easiest, fastest way to do it if the phones are busy. And so I have availability. I'm booked out till, next week, but I have probably 8 to 12 appointments available each and every week between now and the end of the year.
8 to 12. That's not a lot, you guys. Those of you 30,000 that are affected, make sure. And if you can't get a hold, if you can't,
everybody's going to call me, but
well, no, but the thing is,
available.
no, but that's the thing. I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there doing this, but the only one I know about I'm the happy one with, and that's the Medicare Answer Guy, Jim Robeson. Yeah. So if if you're struggling and you can't even figure out, how to get onto the website, get help from your family, give them a call, 858-935-9120, and just be patient. If it's busy, just keep that number, keep calling, you'll get in, and then get an appointment.
I'll keep it simple. I'm going to keep it simple. It's difficult, it's confusing, but the only way we're all going to get through this is to keep it simple. There are solutions. The one that I just mentioned, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but we're going to get through it. And but what I want to finish with is, if you're going to stay on a Medicare Advantage plan, it's going to be temporary. You're going to have changes in the future. Expect that. If you want to make permanent your Medicare health plan, you definitely, seriously need to consider the Medigap plan and plan for it, because it's going to solve a lot of these problems.
It's not. So what is I pretty much, what I want to ask you is, like, your professional opinion, is it going to get easier as we move forward with our government situation? Is this going to happen more and more often, basically, in the future with our, 65 plus is huge, one of the biggest generations on the planet? Is this going to get worse, just kind of happen over and over and over? Is this what our future looks like?
2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the plain and simple truth. It's subsidized. The government has to start cutting. And if not, I don't think they've necessarily cut right away, but look what Scripps has done. I mean, we've got inflation, we've got this, they're overbooked, on and on and on and on and on. when Obamacare hit, all kinds of, everybody got insurance, and that's great. But now they're maxed to the hilt. All of them are. And if you can't operate and make a profit, then you got to make tough decisions. See, if you move to a permanent plan, you still can see your Scripps doctor. They still accept Medigap plans. That's the solution. If you absolutely have to stay with your doctor, then you need to plan for and do every
1 minute.
Move to a permanent plan. If you stay on a Medicare Advantage plan, you still have advantages, but know for a fact, because it's subsidized, you can expect there will be changes in the future.
Yeah, those subsidies, they seem like they're on the chopping block all the time. And we just got one of these temporary resolutions. The government's trying to figure out where are we going to cut back. And I can tell you it's going to be any of these the benefits here and there. And, who's going to be the one that screams the loudest? It's not going to be, the silver generation. It's going to be the younger generation. And if it's a matter of, oh, well, you got too much coverage anyway, don't put up with that. I totally agree with Jim, is make it so that it's permanent. Call Jim. The Medicare Answer Guide, go to his website, themedicareanswerguide.com. Jim, thanks for your solutions on this thing, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks so much, Gary.
All right. The Medicare Answer Guy here on the Word on Wealth. We'll be back with more after this break.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com. Of the team, call Gary at 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com.
Okay. I want you to expect, so there's a couple different things. Tomorrow, which is going to be an every Tuesday feature, we've got really exciting news. I'm announcing the latest addition to our team of experts here to serve you and make your financial life just a bit easier is Shane Sletter. He's our new mortgage and home finance advisor here on the Word on Wealth. So be sure to listen every Tuesday. So every Tuesday to the Word on Wealth, every weekday on the Word on Wealth, And on Tuesdays, it's going to be Shane. Monday's got Jim Robeson, just like today. Wednesday, we've got our real estate guy, Ken Pecos. Thursday, we have our money guy, and that is Anthony. And Friday is our Finding Joy Friday. So that's our lineup that we've got for the Word on Wealth. So look forward to talking to Shane every Wednesday. Now, if you want to get a hold of Shane to talk about reverse mortgages, like reverse purchase, which we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the show, reverse finance, reverse purchase, getting money available. Those are the kind of things we're going to be talking about, because there is a way with reverse mortgages to meet your long-term financial goals and get choices, because it's all about options here on the Word on Wealth. We want you to know what your options are so you can make informed, intelligent decisions about your financial future. His number is 858-683-1716. 858-683-1716. We just got done talking to Jim Robeson. He's just been a great partner on the Word on Wealth to help people figure out the Medicare maze. It is tough. And the easiest way to get on his calendar, because it's like phone calls. If you try and call him, I've had a couple people that say, man, it's busy, but he's got appointments set constantly all day. So the easiest way is to actually get on his calendar. It's a very easy way to do it. It's go to themedicareanswerguy.com, themedicareanswerguy.com, and click on contact. It's just a little button or a link. You click on it and it gives you his calendar, and you can figure out which block of time you can have for him. And then he just goes basically from appointment to appointment. That's why he's a little hard to get a hold of on the phone. So make a reservation in advance. That way you don't have to sit on hold or keep calling. Just get a reservation with Jim. And that's going to be at his Medicare Answer Guy, the MedicareAnswerGuy.com. Okay. Medicare, that's a tough one. Just don't get stuck. We're going to be asking in the future, because we got Jim on Mondays. We're going to be asking him in the future, about the Medigap plans and the different options you have available for that. And because it's coming up on open enrollment, and then you got the updated enrollments. There's just a lot going on with Medicare. With my mom, luckily we had, and this is up in Reading, so we couldn't use Jim, but we had a guy that we'd met. My sister had met up in Reading, where my sister and my mom lived. And it was like every year she would have a regular meeting with him. And I was really surprised at how much difference it made every year to figure out what the new plan was. And I thought, it's just one thing. You get on a plan and you wait and wait and wait, and eventually it will change. But it was like every single year there was a different plan. Something had to change. And it really made a big difference to have an agent, because my sister and I were trying to talk about, what do we do with mom's Medicare, and trying to do the options, trying to do the research. I mean, she's a paralegal. I'm an attorney. And it's like, we just couldn't spend the time to figure out all the options for change, to try to save 50 here and 100 there and another 50 here, and then get to where she had all the coverage and there wasn't limitations. That's why it's just important to get on Jim Robeson's calendar. That's the MedicareAnswerGuy.com. Some questions I want to go over with you guys. There's some questions that were submitted by listeners, and we've been doing a couple of these every day, and I wanted to make sure that I get some of these questions answered. So here's one that was submitted a while ago. It's about a life insurance policy. So the question is, I just bought life insurance and the company wants me to name a beneficiary. That's going to be a company plan. Like his employer says, hey, welcome aboard, and you get life insurance, whatever number. Sometimes it's a factor of your wages. So, if you make, $100,000 or $50,000 a year, and they say, okay, it's 3 times wages, your insurance would be $150 death benefit on life insurance. So he says, I just bought life insurance. I want to know the beneficiary. Is it best to name my wife or the trust as a beneficiary? First of all, thanks for asking. And thanks for having a trust, because if you already have a trust, the answer is like really simple. Any life insurance that you have, the beneficiary should be the trustee of the trust. Don't go directly to your spouse. Don't go directly to children. Make it so that it's the trust as the beneficiary. And that can be done online. It can be done through your broker. If they're signing you up for the first time and saying who should be your beneficiary, make sure it is your living trust. because what will happen then, even if you're married, if you die before your spouse, then the money's going to go into the trust and your spouse still has access to it because your spouse is the other owner of the trust. If you die and your spouse died before you or at the same time, you don't want them to be the beneficiary because you want it to go to your trust. So I just say, if it's life insurance, if it's a bank account, if it's an investment account, have it go to your trust, be either in your trust already or make it so that it goes to your trust after you die. It's different with retirement accounts. Like if it's a qualified retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k or a 403b, those kind of plans, you can't just have it so the beneficiary goes to the trust. You have to specifically designate some specific terms. And you also have to have a retirement protection trust. You can't use a standard living trust. You have to have a specialized retirement protection trust, or else you end up running afoul of the Secure Act and the Secure Act 2.0 and running into some problems with that. So make sure your trust is a retirement protection trust. Sometimes there's other terms that we use, like an IRA trust or an IRA conduit trust. There's some other terms, but basically a retirement protection trust, a trust that's designed specifically to handle retirement monies. If your trust does not do that, then I can look at it and figure out, is there a way to amend it where we can actually amend or add some sections to your trust to modify it and make it so that it has more power and it allows the successor trustee to deal with retirement money. If it can't be done by amendment, then we can just do a reset. We do a new trust, new trust and will and all that stuff, so that you kind of have a full, fresh set of documents and make it a retirement protection trust at that time. So there are different options. And of course, when you meet with me as a listener, make sure I know that you're a listener so that I can give you your free listener consultation and we can talk about your estate planning, and I'll give you options so that you can decide. That's what the Word on Wealth is all about, is options, what options you have available. Okay, next thing is a question. My contracting business is incorporated and I want my sons to have it in case anything happens to me. Can I put my corporation in my will and give it to them? What do you suggest? Let's go through a couple of things. I'm going to ask questions that obviously I can't answer because it's a written question. I can't even ask him, but it says my contracting business is incorporated. Okay, great. Contracting business incorporated. So it's going to be Joe's Contracting Incorporated or whatever. I want my sons to have it in case anything happens to me. So that's going to be two things. I'm assuming we're saying I have a contracting business, it's a corporation, and when I die, I want my sons to have it. Okay, we're going to go with that. Can I put my corporation in my will and give it to them? What do you suggest? Okay, let's change the question and say, can I put my corporation in my trust and give it to them? The answer is yes. And that is the way to go. My favorite thing to do with small business is either have it incorporated or a limited liability company. And then the ownership of that LLC or the ownership of that corporation, we transfer that to the living trust. So your stock, instead of it saying John Brown is the shareholder, it's going to say John Brown, trustee of the John Brown Revocable Trust, is the owner of that stock. Okay. So the stock gets transferred to the trust, or the LLC membership gets transferred to the trust. If you've formed the corporation or the LLC on your own, and I know people do it all the time, they do it every day. They just, it's wild, but so many people form their own LLC because they think, oh, that's an easy thing. I could just go online, fill out a form, and I'm an LLC. Okay, we're going to talk about that. But when you do that, how do we know who owns that LLC? The way you show that you own an LLC or a corporation is you whip out that stock certificate to prove that you own the shares of that corporation. You're the owner. Or if you're an LLC owner, you're going to pull out a membership interest certificate that shows you have membership in the LLC, that you hold membership interests. LLC owners own membership interests. Corporation owners own stock. Okay. We're all familiar with the stock certificate. if you have a corporation, I don't care if it's a sub S corporation or a big corporation or a C corporation. It doesn't matter. Even a personal services corporation. The corporation has evidence of ownership with stock certificates. If you don't have a stock certificate that you can show me, you're not going to convince me you own the company. Okay. You have to have that stock certificate. An LLC is exactly the same, but it's not a stock certificate. It's a membership interest certificate. You need that certificate to be now deposited or transferred to your trust so that when you pass away, your corporation or your LLC goes into that corporation to be handled by your trust. We're going to talk about it more coming up on the Word on Wealth, LLCs and corporations in trust.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Gary, your team at GQ Law are experts at solving IRS and state tax problems. Talk about that.
When people have a tax problem, it tends to really stress them out. And one of the things we've been able to do is figure out how to resolve tax problems. One thing we might be doing is setting up a payment plan or getting a collection delay, maybe getting a determination that the person shouldn't have to pay the taxes at all. We do offers and compromise. We do audit reconsiderations. And one of the things that's a really powerful tool that some people don't recognize is sometimes bankruptcy can be used to actually eliminate taxes when there's certain conditions of the code that are met. So we can do all kinds of things. After we analyze your situation, we can figure out what's available, discuss your options, and figure out which ones to implement, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take. And we can get people out from under all kinds of tax problems so they can sleep again. That's our goal.
Request your free initial consultation. gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
Oil investments involved.
Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's gqlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST.
Thanks for being a listener of the Word on Wealth. If you have questions for me directly, you can either call while we're on the air. We've got a few minutes left, or just call my office and get an appointment with me, 855-500-TRUST. We're talking about what happens when you have a company, a small business. This is a listener submitted question that we are answering. And, what happens with a small business? Is there a way to get that small business transferred? And the answer I give is yes, if you transfer the stock to your trust, because that's the way you evidence or you show that you own it. Like if you had, let's say you have stock in Domino's Pizza. Okay, how do we, you can tell people all day long, I own a share of Domino's Pizza. But how do you prove that? I mean, you're not going to get a stock certificate because the stock certificates are actually held electronically by a stock registry company. Okay. But if you have a small business corporation, like something that's small, that's not traded on the New York Stock Exchange or the, so it doesn't, the stock isn't like electronically held, you're going to have a paper certificate, a stock certificate. and the stock certificates get issued to you based on your investment. You know, if you went to somebody and said, hey, I want to invest in your company, I've got some venture capital or whatever, I have an extra $5,000, they can sell you stock and give you shares of stock, and now you can be a part owner in that company. With your own company, to get the legal protection that you want from creditors and from liability protection and all that, you need to behave the same way as you would as if you were like this professional corporation maker. Okay. Now, what I mean is if you went to somebody and said, I will buy part of your corporation, here's $5,000, you're not going to just want them to say, all right, buddy, thanks. Let me write it down here on this notepad. Gary owns $5,000 of stock. I want them to hand me a stock certificate that's an official certificate with a corporate seal on it that says I own whatever it is, 5,000 shares of that company. Now, I don't know what percentage it is. We could calculate it based on the number of outstanding shares. But by the same token, when you set up your own corporation, it's the same thing. You as an individual want to own that corporation, which is your corporation, but you don't own it yet. So you have to pay the corporation to buy stock from it. Sometimes people put in a car. They say, okay, well, I'm going to transfer my company truck to my corporation because it's a work truck anyway. I'm going to transfer my truck, and then I want to be able to get the tax breaks for, using the truck for business and all that stuff. Well, if the truck is worth $10,000, that's like buying. You can use that truck to buy your shares. So let's say you now bought 100,000 shares and you transferred to the corporation a $10,000 truck. You paid $10,000 for 100,000 shares. You're going to have a stock certificate that says you own 100,000 shares. Okay. Now, to put that in your trust, you take that same certificate, you go back to the corporation and say, hey, would you mind issuing this instead of to me? I want it issued to my trust. And they'll reissue it, and it'll now say John Brown, trustee of the John Brown Family Trust, is the owner of that many shares, however many you bought. Okay, so it's going to work the same thing with yourself. You're going to take the title to the truck and say, hey, corporation, here's $10,000 truck. And for that, I want 100,000 shares. The corporation issues you 100,000 shares, and you say, wait a minute, I have a family trust. Would you mind issuing those shares to the trustee of my trust? Corporation issues the shares to the trustee of your trust. Okay, that's the way it works. That may seem overly simple, but that's the way it is. I talk to at least 2 people every week that have a small business corporation or an LLC. They'll have an LLC that they bought or they created because somebody told them if you have a rental property, it's better to hold it in an LLC. That way you've got liability protection. It's easy to insure and all that. Okay, that's true. And hopefully that was an attorney that advised you of that and not your tax accountant. But if that's the right thing to do and you set up a small business corporation, you have to do it right. If you go online to the Secretary of State, download the form that says sample articles of incorporation, sample bylaws. Okay, fine. Now you got some documents. What do you do with them? What's the legal effect? Is that all you need? Well, you can fill out the articles of incorporation, send them to the Secretary of State on the right forms, and pay them the $15 filing fee, the $15 registration fee, and they'll say, okay, congratulations, you're a corporation. And they'll give you a corporate number. It's a Secretary of State corporate number, not a tax ID number. Is that good enough? And the answer is not even close. That's going to make it so that you're a corporation for the state of California purposes, and they're going to now require you to file a tax return every year, whether you're a sub-S corporation or a C corporation. You're going to have to file a tax return every year and pay an $800 a year tax to the state of California. To be able to shift it or convert it from a C corporation, that's how all corporations start as a C corporation, you have to fill out an election form, and the election is to change it from a C corporation to an S corporation, and now it's taxed differently. Okay, so now you have the tax part right, but you have the corporation formed. And the answer is still no. You have to notify the Securities and Exchange Commission that you've just issued stock and that it's not a tradable stock. You issued the stock certificates. You can issue them to yourself or to your trust. Then you have your first meeting. You have to have minutes of your first meeting. All the officers are there. And now you may be president, secretary, and treasurer, but you have to be there in all three capacities. You may be the sole shareholder, but you need to be there as a shareholder. So you might be in your first meeting as 4 people. Now, this may sound like, well, gosh, Gary, anybody can see through that. You know what? Filling out a piece of paper saying, I want to be a corporation, here's my name, and sending it to the Secretary of State with your money. What is that about? That's how you form a corporation. That's how you become a legal entity. That's the very start of it. So what's the difference between filling out a form and sending it to the Secretary of State or filling out a bunch of forms to acknowledge that you had a first meeting, that your president, secretary, and treasurer were all there, that you all agreed? And I know it's all you. That's fine. You know, you can agree as the secretary, treasurer, and the president to do certain things all together. It's easier to agree with yourself. At least that's what the t-shirt says. And the formalities need to still be followed. So you have the recognition that the meeting occurred, that here's what you guys resolved, or here's what you resolved, and you're documenting that in your corporate book. Because think of it this way: when you form a corporation, it's not you anymore, it's a corporation, and you are working for your corporation. You are the president of your corporation. You're also a shareholder and owner of the corporation. So do you have any liability and responsibility? You have responsibility according to what it says in the operating agreement. What does a president do? Makes the financial decisions, decides, anything to do with administration of the trust, who are you hiring, how the thing's going to be taxed. That's all decisions of the president. So you can be making those decisions, and in the minutes, it's going to reflect all that. So I know it seems really formal, but there's a very good reason for that, because every piece of paper that you file gets you closer and closer to having a corporation that's strong enough to withstand a lawsuit. So that means you're doing your minutes and your articles of organization, and you're going to have your bylaws that are signed by the Secretary of State. You're going to have your corporate seal, your stock certificates. You're going to go to the Securities and Exchange Commission website and register. You're going to register your fictitious business name, your what you're doing business as name with San Diego. You're going to get the business licenses you require, because if you start skipping those steps, it just weakens your position. And you may be 5 years down the road and never done any corporate minutes because you think, well, that's just stupid. I mean, it's just me. What am I doing sitting in front of the mirror and saying, hey, dude, we're going to have a meeting, and then I'm going to write down what I talked about? That seems silly. But you know what? Maybe it's silly, but those are the legally required corporate formalities. And if you don't do them, you're not a corporation. And the first thing that happens when you get sued, the person that's suing you is going to ask for your corporate books and records. And if all they have is this fancy binder with a little brass thing on the spine that says, Joe's Corporation, and there's nothing in that book except the articles of incorporation, and the bylaws are not done, the articles of incorporation, aren't in the book. And if you don't have like the stock certificates issued and your minutes of your meetings that you've had every single year, even though it's with yourself, resolutions for, the major actions that you're taking. If you don't do that, you're just not a corporation. So don't do it wrong, do it right. And when you are a corporation, if you want to know if you really are, I mean, it's been like 4 or 5 years and you don't really know, you're not sure whether you set it up right, I'll check it out. 855-500-TRUST, bring that in. Let's do your trust. Let's get your corporation set up right, and let's get it transferred to your trust. What we're trying to do is a succession plan from you to your beneficiaries and get it done right without any legal hassles or problems. That's our job at GQ Law. 855-500-TRUST. All right. Give me a call. 855-500-TRUST. Get on my calendar. Happy to help you out. Remember, tomorrow we got Shane Sletter, who is our reverse mortgage and regular mortgage guide. He's going to be answering all your questions tomorrow on the Word on Wealth. It's good to talk to you today. We'll be back tomorrow right here, same time, same station on the Word on Wealth. Goodbye, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, and talk to you tomorrow.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995. With financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future.
The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics.